Hi everybody, I've been doing a series of vlogs from Mexico, and in all of these vlogs what I've tried to do is leave you with some little personal, amusing anecdote or story so that you can remember it easily and how it applies to the Right Me program itself and also to the Right Me as a philosophy of life. So most of them do have something amusing in it I'd like to share with you, but this one is a little bit different. And I'm going to call this blog The Road to Damascus. Why Damascus? Well, I was on the internet the other day keeping up continually with the story of the civil war there. And of course, like every civil war, it's just horrible. And I have some experience, however, with Syria, and there was one line in the internet that stood out for me that made me really want to start thinking about a good blog to share with you. And it said, "The rebels now have taken over the outskirts of Damascus." And boom, this created a huge emotional reaction in me. And I'm going to tell you this story about Damascus, Syria, and a guy named Riyadh, who is a perfect example of the right me. Here we go. In 1999, I did a 9-month bicycle trip from Jordan right through the Middle East to the west of China and then back to Pakistan. The second country I visited was Syria. So as I was getting close to Syria, I did have a little bit of extra tension or whatever compared to Jordan, because Jordan is a little bit like the West in the Middle East, whereas Syria at that time was almost considered a state sponsor of terrorism under the Assad government. And so I was a little bit nervous about going to Syria alone by bicycle, but I soon found out very quickly that the Syrians were some of the most friendly people on earth. They just charmed me from the second I crossed into the country. And so, riding my bicycle, I was on the road to Damascus. And as I got closer and closer, I was just right there on the outskirts of the city, stopped, pulled out my map, trying to figure out where to go, and suddenly off to my right, a guy comes running over. I mean, he looked like the Hulk. I mean, he was ripped, white t-shirt, really in shape guy, and I didn't speak much Arabic, he didn't speak much English, but we started communicating for a few minutes. Where are you going, this, that? He said, "Oh, why don't you come into my barbershop, we'll have a cup of tea." Great, why not? These things happen all the time when you travel, especially by bicycle. People seem to warm to you. And I warmed to him immediately. We were in a shop having tea, and he said, "Well, don't go to Damascus tonight. Don't go to Damascus. Stay with me." Okay, I said, great. I mean, you can never always accept these invitations, but I accepted his. I stayed, I think, 3 nights with him. He showed me all around Damascus. And then I had time to really get to know him as a person. And he was just a great guy, and he had a wife and a small boy named Mustafa. But when it came time to go, I was heading to the northwest, to a city called Homs, which is also in the newspapers every day now. The fighting there is terrible. And I promised to telephone him when I got to Homs. Of course, I got to Homs, the telephone number he gave me didn't work. And so I was sitting there in a kind of a dilemma. I didn't want to go back to Damascus. It wasn't on the route I was going to go to. But I gave him my promise to this guy, and he was a great guy. And so I got back on my bicycle. Damascus and Homs is about 150 kilometers, a 2-day bicycle ride. Back to Damascus, and the whole time I was thinking, man, he thinks I probably just dishonorable man, and I didn't live up to my word, but the phone didn't work. And so I got to his place, his little shop, walked in, it was big hugs and reunions, and stayed another couple of days. And the morning I left, I remember very specifically, it was raining. And we were in his shop, and even though I think about it, I get a bit emotional. I look over, and he's crying, I'm crying. It was just a great story, and I ended up that day just riding into Damascus. I didn't feel emotionally strong enough to go on these adventurous places, so I just stayed that night in Damascus, said goodbye to him. And so Riyadh really is a person who I met in my travels who touches me deeply. And when I hear now about the outskirts of Damascus, the road to Damascus, and you think of a guy like that, it makes me feel very humble. And we should all feel humble sometimes in life, because we're out there on our life journey making good choices, the best possible life choices, which is what the Right Me is about. And yet, random events can happen to us in life that can throw things completely awry. That's the case with Riyadh. He was the most peaceful, kind guy you could ever want to meet. Where is he now? And it brings me to the one thing that might be able to make a little smile out of the story, is that, I could say it. His little kid, his name was Mustafa, as I said. And he used to play this game, and Wayne Mustafa means, where's Mustafa? And so whenever Riyadh was in the room, he'd go, Wayne Mustafa, he was probably 3 years old, he'd, go like this, and everyone would start chuckling and laughing. And yet now, where is Riyadh? And it's a perfect opportunity, besides us all, to feel humble thinking about someone like Riyadh. There's people in all of our lives who are going through tough times. And here's a bit of inspiration, maybe, to reach out to someone, to show some love, some compassion and understanding. Take care.